Hi, this is Isabel Litzler. So today's video is about where to find jobs in Switzerland. So I wanted to give you 3 tips on how to do this. So number one is you have to understand the Swiss economy and how it works so that you know whether you have potential to work in Switzerland. So my first tip is really going to be to give you some information, inside information on what are some of the areas where you can find work, some of the jobs. So if you're in engineering, there's good news. There's a lot of Switzerland being also an economy that's quite needed, mechanical and electrical engineering. And I've said this before, you have good chances if you're in this field to find a job. Also, the IT people are very well positioned to find a job. So I would say if you work anywhere between engineering and IT, you're very well suited for the Swiss market. You also have a lot of analyst type of roles. So they're needed in banking, for example. So if you're an advisor also, so I would say anything linked to engineering, banking, insurance, those 3 fields are quite in demand. So I will only encourage you to check the links I will post below where you can see the market, where you can see the jobs advertised and whether you would fit in those roles or not. So some of the world's biggest multinationals are headquartered in Switzerland, so you have to remember this. For example, places like Nestle, Novartis, Zurich Insurance, Roche, Credit Suisse, Adecco, all these places are based, have headquarters in Switzerland, so you can definitely find positions with those organizations. You also have a whole market with the international development sector. So for example, you have the World Trade Organization, the Red Cross, you have the UN, obviously, World Economic Forum. So anyway, there's a huge market to tap into if you work in development for the Swiss market. So some of the job boards that I could only encourage you to look at, that's my tip number 2. Glassdoor is very good. They're developing the Swiss market as well on their job board. So you can find English speaking job on Glassdoor. Of course, jobs in Geneva, jobs in Zurich. This is all English speakers. The local also has some English speaking jobs, and finally top language jobs. So I posted all the links below in my YouTube text. So you can click and look and see, you know, what positions. Probably they're going to be very linked to what I just said. So again, if you're an engineer, if you're an IT, if you're an analyst, you're really, really, really well positioned for the Swiss market. So again, as you notice, you have to be more technically equipped nowadays to find a job. And this is actually good for the whole economy of the world. More and more jobs now require technical specialist skills. So I would only encourage you right now, if you're a bit too broad in your career, to specialize in something, you know, even in several things, because you never know where the market is going. So try to build these expertise under your belt so that you can always find, you know, companies that will hire you for those skills. So that's tip number 2. Is tip number 3 is don't be discouraged too easily. So if you don't see maybe a job that, the type of jobs that you're qualified in on the job boards that I posted, you know, there's other ways to find also positions than on job boards. And definitely I talk all the time about networking and things like that. So try to see how big of a gap you have with the positions that you see online, whether you need retraining, career change, etc., and make an assessment of what you need to do next. So again, tip number 1 is understand the market. Number 2, check those job boards and do your assessment. What is the gap, you know, based on the market and the jobs that companies are willing to pay for? Where do you stand? Are you really far from it, meaning you have 0 skills of what's needed, or are you really close and maybe you only need a little bit of coaching and training to get there? So I hope this video was helpful. I will talk to you soon.